Soak up the rags, spark up the max, light up the night and I never look back. I am the hunter, you are the monster. I am the entity, I am the haunter. Fight with no water, fight with no water. Bring me the leg, I won't choke on the water. I am the author, you are the paper. Rip you apart, leave the blood on the razor. Motherfucker, I am the product and never feeling my feelings. I run upon them in the middle of the night and I kill them. I drill a hole in the villain to fill up whatever missing. Can tell me shit, I don't listen. I'm burning up with the witches. Always been the same and I'll never change. Drifting the waves and I'm swept away. Catch me with the flames, I'm a decimate. And if I rest today, I'll just accept my fate. How I feel, am I really here? Dwelling every fear, there's no heal, let me hear me out. Show me who I was, patiently, faithfully chasing the sun. Drag me down, deep into the ground. Seep into the weakness, gotta get the secret out. I am alone, inside my head. I can be killed if I'm already dead. Heartless entity, double identity. Look at me, see what you did to me. Look at you, this is the end of you. Thought I was done, but bitch, this is the interlude. I would be cautious, watch where you step. I am your conscience, I am your breath. I am the sovereign, never to rest. I will break down your will until nothing is left. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. Soak up the rags, spark up the max, light up the night and I never look back. I am the hunter, you are the monster. I am the entity, I am the haunter. Fight with no water, fight with no water. Bring me the leg, I won't choke on the water. I am the author, you are the paper. Rip you apart, leave the blood on the razor. Motherfucker, I am the product and never feeling my feelings. I run upon them in the middle of the night and I kill them. I drill a hole in the villain to fill up whatever missing. Can tell me shit, I don't listen. I'm burning up with the witches. Always been the same and I'll never change. Drifting the waves and I'm swept away. Catch me with the flames, I'm a decimate. And if I rest today, I'll just accept my fate. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king. I don't wanna live forever, I just wanna die a king.
Hey guys, Illithex here. Guess what? The inactive trash thief stays inactive, who could have guessed? In the following I want to go over some of the shown fights in full length and give some comments on it. Showing these fights or using them for visually appealing editing purposes does not claim that I am better or worse than the shown person. All it means is that I value him a lot by showing these clips. In order to give those fights justice, I am going to upload a second video with all of the fights uncut in case you're interested. I just go over some wins in here. In total I won more, but that is not the point I'm trying to make. I want to deliver good content without people getting butthurt, and YAMA, a godly DP thief in my opinion, was just the right person for that. So now, without any more promises that I'm going to break anyway, let's get started with our first full-on commentary. I open with sword 2 and steel while walking backwards. The contradicting move makes your opponent less likely to expect this pretty standard engage. He immediately counter-steals and I try to chase him. I use the F2 in order to blind him and gain aggressive pressure through it, while out-trading YAMA with auto-attacks. Again, I use the F2 to deny a stealth engage onto me and counter with Daze, which leaves him vulnerable. After a very defensive steal by him for cooldown resets, I heal and fake some dagger 5s. Then, I time a cloak and dagger into his sword 3 animation to get a nice chunk of his health. I try to chase, but his instant reflexes trigger. After a successful stealth attack, I find myself pretty pressured since my instant reflexes trigger and I have to dagger storm. I stealth and find an open window for a steal, on which he counter-steals to deny any more pressure. Please don't mind the terrible shadow steps yet again. I intended to shadow step and steal, but I didn't have the bolts to do so. After stealthing and sustaining, I force his shortbow 3, which allows me a free steal. Since he counter-stealed before, I know that he is still available the same time I do, and it's a habit that he has shown a lot during these fights, therefore I dodge his steal. Since YAMA is out of reach, I try to connect the stealth attack with a shortbow to lock him down through an immob and cluster bomb. This is not the case because durability runes negate the immobilize and therefore the setup of my burst. Here comes the play I highlighted in my montage, a pretty sick steel bait. Let's watch it in slow motion. We dueled for a while, and he knows that I like to chain evades for a steel bait. Right here, I fake the usage of shortbow 3 with an auto attack that I stow, to follow with the real shortbow 3 evade. The visual effect of my legibow makes this work even better, I suppose. After that outplay, he is forced to dagger storm, and I manage to down him shortly after. In the next fight, I pull off pretty much every possible fake, and yet YAMA stays super patient in the opening and hits the steal insanely precise. I stealth, but get hit by a stealth attack. I fail at pressuring properly with a shortbow, and my instant reflex is triggered, but he used his dagger storm. I hit a nasty steal with cloak and dagger, which I normally fake a lot. Then, since my steal was off cooldown, so was his. And yet again, he proves insane steal timing and sees through all of my overly confident baits. We are doing these things so over-excessive because there is a really good understanding of cooldown tracking on both sides, which allows for some crazy plays and outplays. I do not suggest doing this on lower rated opponents, since it's pretty much blatant cooldown waste. Even I find myself in a huge disadvantage if the risk does not pay off. Right here I dagger storm, because just as my steal is off cooldown, so is his, and I walk right into it. To avoid the cluster bomb, I teleport onto him, hit an immob, and pressure him well. And through the fake of an attack, he is forced to shortbow 3, which gives me a perfect window to secure a safe, unavoidable steal, since you are locked inside of an animation. The next one is a quick one. I'm being engaged on with the steal and flanking strikes, which allows for some high damage pressure. I interrupt the following Lazarus strike through my steal and use my stealth aggressively yet again to turn these short auto-track trades in my favor. I am making frequent use of Infiltrator Strike with its return to reposition myself in order to avoid stealth openings. You simply use it without a target, walk into a certain direction, and pull it back to sort of juke your stealthed opponent. He pops out of stealth, uses Dagger Storm, and gains access to more stealth through a steal. I predict his movement during my Dagger Storm, so I cancel it early to hit a successful Cloak and Dagger. I burst him, and he swaps to shortbow. Since my panic strike triggered, he is locked in place and I can freely auto-attack him constantly with quickness. Since his steal is off cooldown, I assume that YAMA intends on interrupting the third auto hit, which was more common before SD's damage was adjusted to a healthier level. After all, I'm still a useless piece of garbage, so I fail a shadow stabber that could have finished him, but I catch him with an F2 into shortbow swap, which is a nice combo to catch people if you want to chase. In this fight, which was earlier that evening, I used the same engage that I recommended for duels, and I chunk YAMA down pretty hard. However, after the failed steal bait, he's able to recover a good amount by timing his steal at the end of my shortbow 3, which could have been cancelled by a roll for initiative. I land a stealth attack and get off some good burst, which I follow with a dagger storm to avoid the panic steal of his while further pressuring him. However, he is able to see the cancel of mine coming and reacts quick to restealth. I'll leave a sword 2 without a target to reposition myself if he opens from stealth. That way I can avoid a lot of his dagger storm. I then hit my steal but missed his stealth attack. Here he fails his steal, which gives me the upper hand in this fight, and I am able to finish him off with finally hitting a single Shadow Step attack. I still consider myself worthless trash regardless. The last one is the longest fight we have, and I want to finish this video with it. Again, to do him justice, I'm going to upload everything I have recorded overall, just cut by some unnecessary waiting and chatting. Anyway, let's get into it. Here I use my typical opener, which I don't use all the time though. He's able to get some sickly time steal off, decides to stealth and then pressure me. Here I predict his steal into my dodge roll and then avoid it through a roll of initiative, which looked pretty neat. He immediately dagger storms and reflects my dancing dagger at me, which gets me to half HP. I am able to time my steal and deny his sword 3, so YAMA shadow stabs away. Here he uses a point blank steal on me for defensive purposes. After I fail my shadow step yet another time, I start to feel the urge to slap myself, but the successful steal prevents me from losing my fucking mind right now after watching this over and over again. Here you can see me using my F2 aggressively yet again to win a melee attack trait. I highly suggest incorporating this into your playstyle, assuming that someone still plays SD when Shadow Arts is such a retardedly easy and stupidly strong option that destroys anything else. Since I successfully hit my sword 3, I back off and lay down a return for another safe escape. Here he fails his steal, and since I got the upper hand now, I obviously fail my steal like a fucking retard, in-game facepalm included. I then predict his steal again through a roll for initiative and recover from the failure of my existence. We both know what's coming, but I'm able to connect a lasso strike and steal, which triggers his invulnerability. Then YAMA hits his steal and I notice that he's nearby through his second F2. That's why I leave another return spot on the ground and start to move away from it. He predicts my steal like a king, and in my tilt I get hit by a full combo where the Daze Bug fucked my dodges. I cleanse the poison to heal and hit a nice predict, which lets us stay even. He goes for a defensive steal and connects the full shortbow burst, but I use the defensive steal and pressure him back. He manages to hit a good burst on me from afar, but I'm able to turn it around and then go into a dagger storm. Assuming I would cancel it as always, he fails to steal, and I can turn on him hard. I hope you enjoyed this 3-month-old commentary. I know I've been slacking as hard as possible. There are priorities in life, but after finishing my first scientific paper, I'm quite happy to work on some video things again when I got spare time. There are still some dueling sessions, but all of them are on Revenant. Since most of them are even pre-balance patch, I'd like to continue the series with something more up-to-date. If anyone could comment on whether it is okay for me to show some outdated content or not, that would be amazing. So I hopefully see you soon, because there are a lot of things ahead for me in the future, and I want to thank the few of you who are still out here enjoying my cringy ass content. Special thanks for YAMA for being such a humble, understanding and helpful person. If this was on DP, he'd smash me into the ground until I'd say, "Please stop, daddy," followed by some ooh shit. What the actual fuck? It's time to stop. Enough for today. Thanks for everything. I really don't deserve this. Goodbye.